name is Jay Sugarman, and I want to welcome you to Innovation Showcase. The main purpose of this ongoing series is to inform viewers about exciting innovations and creative individuals across the fields of business, science, technology, education, and the arts. Today, via Zoom, we're fortunate to have as our guests Kristin Juel, Shelly Peiken, and Ruby Velle. Kristin is the founder of Juel Concepts, an incubator and management firm for emerging artists, with Shelly and Ruby being two of her clients. As you probably know, Shelly is a prolific songwriter who is best known for co-writing the #1 hits What a Girl Wants and Come On Over by Christina Aguilera and Bitch by Meredith Brooks. Based in Atlanta, Ruby is the lead singer of Ruby Velle and the Soulphonics. In addition to charting on Billboard, her singles have been shared as both iTunes and Starbucks Pick of the Week tracks. During the program, Kristin will be informing us about why and how Juel Concepts came about, and how she goes about collaborating with artists to help them grow and develop in the music industry. As artists, Shelly and Ruby will share their perspective of the collaboration, as well as treating us to some of their outstanding performing. Let's start by meeting our guest and learning all about Juel Concepts. Welcome. So delighted you're all able to be here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So much talent in one little Zoom room. We could do a program on each of you and then some. So we're going to try to squeeze in a lot today. Before we enjoy hearing from Shelly and Ruby, Kristin, would you please start by sharing just a little bit about your background and how Juel Concepts came about, please?
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks so much for having me today and our artists. I'm Kristin Juel. So we started Juel Concepts in 2013. I have had spent 25 years in brand strategy and advertising between New York and Los Angeles. So considerable amount of time, got to see many different categories. And at one point towards the end, I was working with a healthcare company out in Los Angeles. It's actually a national footprint. And I was able to encourage their membership, they had 9 million members, how to use music. So as far as like their health is concerned. And it wound up being an opportunity for us to like look at playlisting and all sorts of other great ways, concert series. We did a whole thing around Music Inspires Health. And from there, again, after 25 years of like structuring strategy and advertising campaigns and trying to figure out really what the sort of nugget is that makes people excited about their product or service, I thought it was an interesting way to pivot into using music, which was always a very big love for me from when I was obviously playing French horn and doing things like playing guitar and stuff, into having it be a little bit more about, sorry, I totally got distracted because you put my logo up on the thing and I was like, whoa. But yeah, so basically having it be more about use of music and how to intersect that with technology and brands. So Juel Concepts became an opportunity for us to really focus on what's the real truth in music right now, which is artists, developing artists, making sure that they know their worth, making sure that they have a chance to be fostered and nurtured and grow and develop, really, because it's kind of a lost art right now, and also starting to build their brand. So it's again, with my background in brand strategy and advertising, we're able to like really understand what makes these artists so unique and different, and then bring that to market and try and encourage discovery whenever possible. Mm-hmm. So right now we're using everything that I've ever done in my career: marketing, management, project management, innovation, you name it. It's all now in one thing.
How would you characterize their approach to working with your clients?
So, it's interesting. I think leadership comes in many different forms. And when I was at, this healthcare company in particular, you get to learn who you are through that lens, because it's a very consensus driven organization. And one of the things that I learned was how to listen, especially when you're designing innovation. You want to think about the user and how that actually affects your decision making. And so when I think of working with these artists and partnering with them, a lot of it is about an empathy exchange, if you will, where you can put yourself in their shoes, but also understand the consumer, right? So there's this world of just engaging, listening, trying to process the information in a way that makes people feel like they're coming into the conversation in their own right? So it's not it's not a cookie cutter thing. It's up to each one of them. And you'll see each one are very different. So I think at the core of all of it is, you know, that sense of empathy, if you will, which, you know, at first I thought might not be the hardest hitting, you know, most commercially viable way to explain what we do that differentiates us. But I think considering the market that we're in, and especially today, post-COVID or during COVID, it really is something that matters the most, because you can't just say it's going to be a certain way and it becomes a certain way. You have to work through things to make it a comfort zone for everyone.
Would you give us a sense of the range of your clientele and the services you offer?
Yeah, it varies. I mean, you know, I've come out of a consulting background, so, you know, if I have to do things in the brand world, which is like I consider music adjacent pieces that are more technology, you know, that's an easy one for me to like just live in. But when it comes to music, I would say we're probably, most of the things that we do are strategy and release strategy planning, designing and advertising campaigns. We do get involved with video production. I think that's an important piece of visuals, and the elements of the visuals are very widely used in our marketing initiatives. So we want to make sure we have something that's highly engaging, or as engaging as possible. We do, you know, anything like meet with companies to find out ways to partner further with what they're doing and bring our artists in. There's obviously, like, we do, you know, tour management. I mean, everything that you could think of that an artist would need. It's basically, you know, artist services for artists that want to maintain a sense of independence. So, and that at the core of all of this is understanding what your catalog means. And I think, you know, Shelly's a great example of one of our artists of who's built an incredible catalog. And that's something that, you know, when you're an emerging artist, you can forget, it's easy to forget that you're building your own intellectual property. And I think that's the part that I'm the biggest champion of, is ownership of music, or ownership of some sort of publishing in some way, or your assets, and controlling your assets, and being able to have a, you know, a say in how things go. That's very important to me.
You know, you mentioned COVID and the pandemic, and so many people in so many industries have learned how to pivot in new ways, as have you. Could you share one of your initiatives, UnCut Juels, please?
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to talk about that for days. So, well, we've had the opportunity to have, for instance, we've had artists come on. Like, it started off with my birthday, because I thought, well, at least we'll all have something to do. And most of our artists had not done a live stream before. So we used this as an opportunity to bring them into that conversation. And then from there, we had, like, anytime someone would do a release, we would basically bring in, like, Hamish is another artist we work with. And we brought in his director and myself, and because I produced the video, and Hamish, to talk about the making of the video. And a lot of what we did was, you know, again, even back then we were doing things in the home. So it was revealing how people could do production today, even if they needed to, which we all do now. And then we did things with the Gold Souls, where we went through their studio and talked about their production stuff. We had Shelly come on and talk with Hamish again about working through music together. So it's really about, I say it's like the conversations that you have about music and that are related to the music, but not necessarily just about the live stream. So we started with the live stream, but it's, you know, it's more about, it's not about the performance, it's about the dialogue and the engagement opportunities and the conversations you can have.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, we'll come back to hearing more about your thoughts and about Juel Concepts. Mm-hmm. Shelly, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Really enjoyed your work over the years, both your songwriting and, I think, very talented writer. Enjoying following your blog is fabulous, really terrific. And I know you have just more singles now. The Notebook's a big one that has been enjoyable to listen to. But stepping back, given your history and the career as a veteran, what attracted you to wanting to collaborate with Kristin?
Well, I had heard Hamish on the radio cooking dinner one night, and I loved his sound, so I Shazammed him, and there he was. And then I Googled him, and I saw that he was going to be playing locally that week, and I got myself there. I also spent the week sharing about him and posting about him and saying how much I love this new guy I heard. And by the time I got to Hotel Cafe where he was playing, Kristin was there, of course, hands-on, selling merch. And I figured she must be paying attention because she picked me out of a crowd and she said, "You're the woman who's been posting about my artist, Hamish." She just was on it. And I said, yeah, and she was really friendly and we got to talking. And then I came to a couple of other performances he had over that summer and I saw, oh my God, she's always there. She's always on it. She's welcoming. She remembers me. She brings her camera. She's so helpful to him. So when I decided after all these years of writing for other people that I wanted to make my album, I knew I'm going to need some help. I'm completely right-brained. I know nothing about branding and marketing or ingesting information and how to deal with any of this stuff. And she's really the first and only person I thought of who I wanted to reach out to help me because I saw what she was doing with other artists. And I said, I want somebody to do that for me. That's what I need.
That's fabulous.
Appointment.
And in a couple of minutes, we'll see one of the outcomes of that in your performance. Speaking about performing and stepping back, how would you characterize your songwriting process?
Well, right now, Jay, it's a whole different thing during this crazy time. But I mean, my process has changed over the years. I've been doing this professionally for 30 years. And when I first started out, I'd wake up every day, 5 days a week, and co-write, get to a session. I mean, more recently, you know, in the digital ecosystem, the way a songwriter can sustain a livelihood has really changed and become a great challenge. So, because songwriters don't make a lot of royalty off of a stream, and we used to make it off of a physical copy when records were sold. So, does it behoove me to wake up 5 days a week and write a song every day to pitch to an outside artist that might get streamed and I might make a crumb? So I look at it a little differently. I do stay connected and to my work. I'm writing a little bit more for me. I'm writing with less people, but more people who really inspire me, more little nooks and crannies instead of an artist who might be writing with 100 people to find her 3 singles. It just doesn't interest me anymore. I also took some time to write a book about how the profession had changed over the years. And now making this album has been amazing. I do a lot of advocacy to help other songwriters discover how they can protect and preserve our profession and how we can get paid more via streaming. And I'm sure I'm going to find other ways to stay productive. I'll never stop writing songs. I always have them sort of ideas fall from the sky or come in through windows in my car or knock on the shower door. All places I'm not available, this is where ideas come. And
that sounds like a confession of a serial songwriter.
There you go.
Which is your Grammy-nominated audiobook.
Yeah.
That fabulous work as well. How did you go about writing What a Girl Wants?
How did what? What's the question?
How'd you go about writing What a Girl Wants?
Oh, I had recently migrated from the East Coast to the West. I had been seeing a guy for 3 years, and he was very patient in waiting for me to make that decision. I mean, he didn't know that I would make it. And I had scribbled something about our relationship and his patience on a receipt or a napkin. You have to document anything you think about, because if you don't document it, you think you're going to remember it and you never do. And I was in a session with my friend Guy Roche. He was playing something on the piano, and we just got together 2 days, 3 days a week to write, to see what would happen. And I thought, oh, I like what he's playing, and I think that would go with these words I scribbled down. And they were all about Adam giving me time and patience in making the decision or not to come to Los Angeles and be with him. So he was and continues to be what a girl wants in my life.
Fabulous. Well,
Yeah.
we're fortunate to have your recording with produced by Juel Concepts.
Right.
So let's
And Hamish Anderson,
Yeah.
artist I heard on the radio that day is playing on it.
Oh, fabulous. Thank you for pointing that out. Okay, let's enjoy.
Giving me time to breathe. Like a rock, you waited so patiently while I got it together, while I figured it out. I only looked but I never touched, 'cause in my heart was a picture of us holding hands, making plans. And it's lucky for me you understand. Yeah, it's lucky for me you understand. What a girl wants, what a girl needs, whatever makes me happy sets you free. And I'm thanking you for knowing exactly what a girl wants, what a girl needs, whatever keeps me in your arms. And I'm thanking you for giving it to me. There was a time I was blind, I was so confused. I ran away just to hide it all from you, but you knew me better than I knew myself. They say if you love something, let it go. If it comes back, it's yours. That's how you know it's what keeps, yeah, it's for sure. And you're ready, you're willing to give me more. Yeah, you're ready, you're willing to give me more than what a girl wants, what a girl needs, whatever makes me happy sets you free. And I'm thanking you for knowing exactly what a girl wants, what a girl needs, whatever keeps me in your arms. And I'm thanking you for giving it to me. What a girl needs. You may float when I can't breathe. You may hold on when I let go. You may smile, never say no. Never say no. You what a girl wants, what a girl needs, whatever makes me happy sets you free. And you know exactly what you want. Yeah, whatever keeps me in your arms. And I'm thanking you for giving it. What a girl wants, what a girl needs. And I'm thanking you for giving it to me.
Oh, that was fantastic.
So Jay,
Oh, you're
Yeah.
multi-talented.
so cool.
Kristin, could you point out some of the production
Yeah.
features that you incorporated?
Well, so I produced it, but actually we had a director who was extremely hands-on on this one. And he is, both of them, both videos you're going to see. And it was great to work with him. So his technique, what was really interesting, and this is why I love working with Shelly, because like she was like, let's do this. You know, she shared the idea and then we kind of concepted around it with him. And his whole thing is video synthesis, right? So it's like taking these analog video equipment pieces and putting it through this synthesizer. So while she's performing against, like, you could tell it was like a green screen, you know, he's like creating these things. And then afterwards, he matches that up with this backdrop of like all those, you know, almost trippy pieces that are coming out. And I was like, this is amazing. Like not every artist would be so willing to try new things. And it's just a very unique, and again, this was done pre-COVID, but ironically it was done COVID style. So like, it was, you know, it was all done in a house, you know, we didn't have to go anywhere. It was amazing. So it's kind of like a foresight to what was happening, was going to happen.
That is a great term, COVID style. Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. Okay, well,
You
we'll
guys are
come
great.
back in a minute, but Ruby, welcome.
Thank you so much, Jay. I'm really happy to be here.
What
Among such
attract-
powerhouses at that, I'm beside myself.
As a
Right back at you,
performer,
girl.
you more than hold your own.
Thank you.
What attracted you to collaborating with Kristin?
I'd have to say with everything in my life, it was cosmically charged. And we found each other by way of people that we had worked with in the music scene. One was the drummer currently for Gary Clark Jr. His name is Johnny Radelat. Johnny was my first drummer in my first band, which was the Soulphonics at 21 years of age. And he knew that we were self-managed for a long time, and my background comes from advertising and marketing as well as design. So even though I had that, we were still not where we needed to be. We were churning and slowly losing motivation and coming up on 8 years of being self-managed with a large band. So kind of one member for every year that we were chugging along. So long story short, Kristin stumbled upon our record in Fat Beats, I think in San Francisco, randomly.
LA, in LA.
Okay, in LA. And then later on started working with Gary Clark's team. Long story short, they both started talking. Johnny, Kristin, they need help. Please go help them. And that was kind of it. And, you know, Kristin came in and, you know, not only her empathy, but the way in which she champions for artists is just unparalleled. You just will not find anybody else in the industry that can dig into somebody's journey where they are, right where they are, and then kind of pull them out the mud. And I wrote a song about that. And I think that's really all I have to say about an artist manager relationship. Like when you're writing songs about your manager, holy F, like that's some serious progress for an industry that didn't previously have heart. You know, so a lot of my art since I've been coming out with music and writing songs has been, let's be the industry we want to see. Let's be our own legends, you know, let's create our own legacy and do it indie AF. And so that's what we've always done. And I'm really glad to partner with the manager that gets that and doesn't want to encroach on that space, but wants to empower it.
That's fabulous to hear. And I have to say, in doing research for this program, that kept on coming up time and time again, hearing clients give their reaction and feedback to collaborating with Kristin. Ruby, how do you go about interpreting a song when you maybe first get it and then deciding or evolving into your performance?
Sure, that's a really wonderful question because it kind of depends on the collaborators as much as it depends on me. So if I'm in a solo environment, it's more along the lines of what Shelly has been doing for a long time, which is working with different people that may not necessarily be touring with her all the time, or maybe she sees them a couple of times a year. And that was not my original scenario. My original scenario was pretty much for family. I met them at 21. I was writing songs at that age without any kind of experience, not knowing what I was doing and just being a really great poet. And that kind of got me through the first couple of songs and learning about the structures really quick. And I'm always very quick to grasp systems that I think can benefit. So it was easy for me to work with them. They would come up with a lot of the arrangements in the early days, and then I would burrow away and go write and be very emotional. And to this day, I've never been censored in the Soulphonics. I've gotten to fully say what I want. There's never been a label just say, we're not going to put that out, or we're not going to share that sentiment with you. So I think that is one part of the collaboration that's always empowered me. Mm-hmm. You know, even though as a band, you go through ups and downs as a family unit, there's always been that, well, Ruby gets to say what she wants to say.
Just a very quick word on how Broken Woman came about before we enjoy it.
Yeah, sure. Broken Woman was a collaboration actually between the band Soulphonics, myself, and my husband was the hook writer. So he came up with the hook on that one and then gave it over to me, and I wrote the rest of the verses around it. So that was our first time actually co-writing a song together, and we're working on some other stuff too. But it was in true Atlanta fashion, recorded right here in Little Five Points with Diamond Street Studios. And we also did a video for it that uses some new technology. At that time, it was called Flixel. And we did that with Jason Hale's photography, their husband-wife team. And this was one of their first videos. So it was really cool to dive into.
Let's enjoy it.
Great.
She gets what she wants. gets what she needs. She gets down on her knees. She's a broken woman. She'll take away your breath like she took your car keys. Drop straight through your heart. She shocks when she leaves. She's a broken woman. Trust me and stay away. If you try to love her, you'll see. She's just gonna make you bleed. Oh, just trust me and stay away. If you try to love her, you'll see. She's just gonna make you bleed. Oh, she's so wrong. She is planning the plot for your grave to be in. While you spending the money to keep her content. She's a broken woman. She stays where she knows she won't be exposed. Skeletons in her closet have some of their own. Trust me and stay away. If you try to love her, you'll see. She's just gonna make you bleed. No, no. Just trust me and stay away. If you try to love her, you'll see. She's just gonna make you bleed. She's so wrong. She's so wrong. She's so wrong. She's so wrong. Get what she want, get what she needs. Try to touch her, she'll make you bleed. So damn wrong. She's so wrong. She's so wrong.
Yay!
Oh, that
Thank
is
you.
so outstanding. I have to say, since I received a copy from Kristin a few days ago, I think I've listened to it at least a dozen times already.
Oh,
Amazing.
It's
Yeah,
just
a great
such a
song.
fabulous sound by you, of course, and
thank you.
the Soulphonics. Really outstanding. Just
Thank
love
you
that
so
sound.
much. Yeah, I miss my
Definitely
big
gonna
band
look,
in these times for sure.
Yeah.
Missing my big band at the moment.
we look forward to
Yeah.
more. Well, you know, as I said at the outset, we could easily do a show with either of you. I'm glad we made this happen.
Me
And
too.
unfortunately, we have to wrap up for today. We've come out of at the end of the show. So thanks again so much for all of you for making the time. So multi-talented.
Thank you.
And it was
Thank you,
wonderful to
Jay.
share with viewers. And continued success. We'll have your websites in the credits so people can follow up and keep tabs on you. So again, thanks so much.
Thank
and
you.
continued success.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you to
Have a great
Kathleen
one.
as well and everyone.
Yes, thank
Appreciate
you,
Also
it.
want to
everybody.
thank those of you watching for joining us and hope you'll be able to tune in next time.